When we last left our story, the Satanic Temple was threatening to sue the Saucon Valley School District over their after-school Satan club, which was denied, after some back and forth, was denied access to the school's after-school activities membership, or the school opens its facilities to outside clubs and activities. And when you do that as a school, as a public school, a government school, you can't discriminate. The First Amendment says you can't discriminate. Various other amendments say you can't discriminate. And this is actually something that's been quite well established. If the school allows Christians to have a religious club, then they have to allow members of the Jewish faith or the Islamic faith, or in this case, the Satanic Temple, which is a religion as well. You may hear otherwise from certain people, but we'll also see in the complaint what their tenets are and what they're all about. So let's just dive into that, and let's see what the Satanic Temple has filed now. So after their denial, the Satanic Temple hired the ACLU, or however that works, and the ACLU has now filed this complaint on the Satanic Temple's behalf. The Satanic Temple sponsors the After School Satan Club, the ASSC, or the Club, at a number of public schools across the country to provide young people with an alternative to other religious clubs that meet on campus after school. The Saucon Valley School District, the district, or SVSD, has intentionally opened up its facilities for after-school use by a variety of organizations, including the Good News Club, a Christian group sponsored by a local church, and Child Evangelism Fellowship. In February of this year, TST applied to hold monthly after-school gatherings at the Saucon Valley Middle School, where the Good News Club also meets. Although the district initially approved TST's application, correctly explaining in a Facebook post and email to parents that by law the district cannot discriminate among groups wishing to use SVSD facilities, it quickly bowed to the ensuing public outcry and rescinded its approval. The district claimed that the uproar, which included a threat of violence against the middle school, later traced to a man in North Carolina, was caused by TST. Namely, the district accused TST of violating district policy by failing to clearly disassociate the club from the district. Pointing to an ASSC permission slip distributed online, the district asserted that the document's explicit disclaimer, which stated the ASSC is not an activity of the school or the school district, was not large enough. According to the district, it was this purported failure of font size, and not the district's email to parents, its Facebook post, or the discriminatory beliefs of district officials or others who objected to the ASSC, that caused the disturbance and prompted the threat. Rather than simply asking TST to change the supposedly deficient disclaimer, the district banned the ASSC from using school facilities for the rest of the school year. This decision to rescind approval of TST's application and ban the ASSC from using school facilities was impermissibly based on TST's viewpoint and religion. The district had never before refused to allow an organization to use school facilities because the group failed to sufficiently disassociate itself from the district. Indeed, at the exact time that the district rescinded approval for the ASSC meetings, a permission slip for the Good News Club posted on the sponsoring church's website had no language disclaiming district sponsorship of its meetings. Moreover, the district has sent students home with permission slips and flyers for organizations using school facilities, including the Good News Club, that, unlike the ASSC permission slip, had no disclaimer. And district officials have posted on SVSD social media accounts similar promotional materials, which had no disclaimer, for events and meetings held at district facilities by groups like Girls on the Run and the Scouts. The district's claim that it rescinded approval of TST's application because the ASSC's permission slip violated district policy is plainly a pretext to exclude a controversial group from district facilities. That the district's approval of the ASSC's use of school facilities caused controversy is of no moment. Under the First Amendment, the district can no more deny the ASSC access to its facilities than it could eject an after-school Muslim or Jewish club or the Good News Club from district schools due to SVSD officials' own bias or due to disruption caused by those who oppose the religion or viewpoint of the clubs. Under the First Amendment, protected speech or religious exercise does not readily give way to a heckler's veto. They cite to Kennedy v. Bremerton School District, quoting the Good News Club versus Milford Central School. So that's a good one. When you have that citation there, they're talking about the Good News Club having permission at Saucon Valley School District, and here they're quoting from a Good News Club case where Good News Club was a plaintiff. Good News Club, under New York law, respondent Milford Central School enacted a policy authorizing district residents to use its buildings for after-school activities, etc. The Good News Club submitted a request. Milford denied the request on the ground that the proposed use to sing songs, hear Bible lessons, memorize scripture, and pray was the equivalent of religious worship. The district ultimately granted Milford's summary judgment, finding the club's subject matter to be religious in nature, not merely a discussion of secular matters. Because the school had not allowed other groups providing religious instruction to use its limited public forum, the court held that it could deny the club access without engaging in unconstitutional viewpoint discrimination. In affirming, the Second Circuit rejected the club's contention that Milford's restriction was unreasonable, and held that because the club's subject matter was quintessentially religious and its activities fell outside the bounds of pure moral and character development, Milford's policy was constitutional. And what is the decision held? Milford violated the club's free speech rights when it excluded the club from meeting after hours. So Milford ultimately loses. If you open your school to various activities, then you have to allow the religious club as well, which would seem to support. So wait a second. So the Good News Club has sued over the same issue that the Satanic Temple is now going to be able to use their case to open up Saucon Valley. I know the Good News Club isn't a defendant in this case, but that's some kind of irony for the people who are allowing one club but not another in Saucon Valley. Accordingly, TST seeks a declaratory judgment that the district's treatment of TST and the ASSC violates the Free Speech Clause, the Free Exercise Clause, the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, and Article 1, Section 7 of the Pennsylvania Constitution. They're asking for preliminary and permanent injunctive relief enjoining the district from continuing to deny TST and ASSC access to district facilities, compensatory and nominal damages, and other relief as set forth below. Parties. Satanic Temple has more than 700,000 individual members. It is a non-theistic, religious, not-for-profit corporation based in Salem, Massachusetts. It is recognized by the IRS as a church, as defined by the Internal Revenue Code. TST does not worship Satan. Satan is instead regarded as a literary figure who represents a metaphorical construct of rejecting tyranny, championing the human mind and spirit, and seeking justice and egalitarianism for all. As a church, the TST promulgates 7 tenets which guide the church's operations as well as the lives of its individual members. First, one should strive to act with compassion and empathy toward all creatures in accordance with reason. 2. The struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions. 3. One's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. 4. The freedom of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego one's own. 5. Beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs. 6. People are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that might have been caused. 7. Every tenet is a guiding principle, designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word. TST has distilled these 7 tenets into the 7 satanic virtues: benevolence, empathy, critical thinking, creative expression, personal sovereignty, compassion, and the pursuit of justice. TST and its adherents strive to apply these tenets and virtues to all aspects of their lives, including their understanding of fundamental and ultimate questions relating to life and death, right and wrong, and good and evil. TST's beliefs are sincerely held and practiced. Like many other churches and religious organizations, TST holds various events and programs to facilitate the practice of its tenets, including twice-weekly services and holiday and fellowship events. As part of its religious mission, TST also sponsors a youth program like many other churches and religious organizations. The ASSC provides students a safe and inclusive alternative to other religious clubs that operate in public school facilities. The ASSC offers enrichment programming, community service projects, games, nature-based activities, and arts and crafts that is inspired by and aligns with the satanic virtues. The ASSC helps children build social and emotional skills and provides a framework for helping them understand the world around them. It's open to youth ages 5 through 12. There are currently 6 active ASSCs in public schools across the country, and TST is in the process of launching additional clubs. Trained TST volunteers help conduct the meetings in accordance with the tenets. All volunteers undergo extensive criminal background checks. So that's the background of TST. Now they're going to go into what happened with Saucon Valley. The district has opened up school facilities for broad use, including for civic, cultural, educational, and recreational activities pursuant to their policy 707 use of school facilities attached as Exhibit 1. The district's rules and regulations allow a wide variety of groups to use district facilities in accordance with 5 classifications: approved district activities, nonprofit organizations within the district's boundaries, nonprofit organizations outside the district boundaries, commercial purposes within district boundaries, and commercial purposes outside district boundaries. Pursuant to the policy, a number of individuals, organizations, and businesses have used district facilities in recent years, including but not limited to the Good News Club, privately operated sports camps, youth sports organizations, the Scouts, Girls on the Run, the Lions Club, and others. After being contacted by a local parent who requested that TST sponsor an ASSC in the district, TST applied on February 1st to use the Saucon Valley Middle School's large group instruction room for ASSC meetings on March 8th and April 12th and May 10th. TST met all the qualifications to use the district facilities. TST submitted the application along with its affiliated nonprofit, the Reason Alliance. The Reason Alliance's mission is to promote the non-theistic religious tenets of the Satanic Temple in various contexts. The district notified TST on February 16th that it had approved TST's application. TST began making arrangements with district staff for the March meeting and purchased supplies for the club. Aware that the district had previously sent home permission slips in students' backpacks for the Good News Club's after-school meetings, TST modified its standard ASSC permission slip and parent introductory letter to reflect the Saucon Valley location and meeting dates, expecting that the materials would likewise be sent home with students. At the bottom of the permission slip, just above the parent/guardian signature line, is the statement that this is not an activity of the school or the school district. Similarly, the parent introductory letter stated in bold at the bottom of the document that the After-School Satan Club is not an activity of the school or the school district. That permission slip is attached as Exhibit 2. Let's find that. So here we go. This is the After-School Satan Club thing. It does say this is not, all the way here at the bottom, this is not an activity of the school or school district. And keep in mind, I'm looking at this at like full size. This is like a postcard. So it is going to be kind of tiny on the bottom there, but you also can read it. TST never had the opportunity to send its introductory letter or permission slip home to parents, pointing to board policy. Superintendent Vlasaty informed TST by email that no flyers, etc., can be provided to students/families. When pressed further and informed that district officials had previously sent home permission slips for the Good News Club, Vlasaty claimed that she was new to the superintendent role and realized that this district policy was not being followed by our building administrators consistently and has since been resolved. On Monday, February 20th, Superintendent Vlasaty sent out an email to parents about the ASSC. The email announced the district's decision to approve TST's application, but made clear that the approval was made reluctantly because it was required by law. The email stated, "The Saucon Valley School District is committed to open communication, and for that reason you are receiving this letter to ensure you have accurate information regarding news from our campus. The district has long held policies and procedures in place which allowed varied community groups to use our publicly funded facilities outside the school day. This is common practice among school districts around the state and the nation. Religious groups are among those the district has allowed to rent our facilities over the years. By law, the district cannot discriminate among groups wishing to use the SVSD facilities. Consistent with the law and criteria set out in the SVSD board policy and regulations, the district has approved an organization known as the After School Satan Club to host gatherings after school hours in the Saucon Valley Middle School. Students must have parent permission to attend any after-school event hosted by any outside organization. It is very important to note that the district does not endorse any of the groups or content affiliated with groups that host after-school events on district property. It is also important to note that the ASSC is not a district-approved club. The Saucon Valley School District is committed to working to minimize any distractions this news may create while ensuring our focus remains on providing a safe and secure learning environment for our students and staff." Vlasaty's email was sent via S'more.com, an online messaging system used by the district to provide updates to the community. The text of the email was also posted to the district's official Facebook page. The district has since deleted that post from Facebook. As the local media rushed to cover the announcement, the president, school board president Susan Baxter, reportedly told one outlet that she was not convinced the club would be using the middle school space and said the district was still reviewing the situation. It's so interesting to see my hometown sort of get its comeuppance for this was very normal when I was raised in the town, that you had to be of a certain religion. Otherwise, you just didn't quite get treated the same by everybody. On February 21st, one day after the district's Facebook post and email to parents, the district received a voicemail message threatening violence against students and staff at the middle school. The district also received numerous complaints about the decision to approve the ASSC. The phone threat referenced the district's decision about the ASSC. After receiving the threat, district officials closed after-school activities and the school the following day. Then, on February 22nd, Vlasaty sent out another email to parents that due to this disruption, she'll be recommending a full review of the Satan Club's use of our facility. 2 days later, the district rescinded its approval of TST's application and banned the ASSC from meeting at the middle school on the previously approved dates. February 24th, Vlasaty stated that the district was made aware of advertisements shared on social media for the club on February 20th, and that the advertisement did not comply with Board Policy 707, which requires that individuals and community groups clearly communicate that the activities are not being sponsored by the school district when advertising or promoting activities held at school facilities. According to Vlasaty's letter, the February 20th advertisement did not clearly communicate that the After School Satan Club was not being sponsored by the district. She further claimed that, although the district is aware that upon very close examination of the flyer, there was a statement in the flyer in small print, "This is not an activity of the school or the school district," this statement was nearly illegible due to the minuscule size of its font. She also stated that, without providing any details, that other parts of the flyer and the advertisement strongly suggested that the club was being sponsored by the district. The February 20th advertisement referenced by Vlasaty was, in fact, a post by Nikki Romy, an individual who is not employed by TST, is not associated with the ASSC, and was not asked or authorized by the TST to post on behalf of the club. The post includes a graphic of the ASSC permission slip and the following text. "Hi, Saucon parents, I've got some fantastic news. Pennsylvania's very first after-school Satan Club is launching beginning March 8th. Your kiddos do not have to be students at the elementary school. All children are required to have a signed permission slip. Any adults attending who are not vetted volunteers must be accompanying a child with a permission slip. Please reach out with any questions." As part of the district's full review, it did not contact TST to ask whether it authorized the post or to gather any information from TST. Vlasaty's letter asserted that this advertising choice has caused substantial disruption to the district's operations, interfering with the educational program of our schools. She specifically pointed to the most significant disruption of the evening of February 21st, when the district received a threat about the district's approval of the club. Vlasaty's letter concluded that the club may not convene at Saucon Valley Middle School and explained, the fundamental basis of Policy 707 is to effectuate the Board of School Directors' intentions that the district's facilities be made available to organizations of the community for various activities so long as the scheduling of those activities does not interfere with the educational program of the district. The disruption to the district's operations resulting from TST's violation of Policy 707 vis-a-vis its misleading advertising has undoubtedly interfered with the educational program, creating a substantial disruption to the education of the district's students. She's trying to tie some third party's disruption to the thing she doesn't like. So someone else made a threatening phone call, and that somehow gets blamed on the Satanic Temple's application, when the Satanic Temple did not do that. They did not issue that phone call, did not ask anyone to make that phone call, did not support that phone call, did not cause that phone call in any way. So to the victim blame is unfair and unjust and unequal, and it's obviously a pretext for, we're looking for any reason to get rid of the Satanic Temple because we don't want their after-school Satan club. But the Good News Club is fine, so they get a free pass on anything they did wrong. If they send out a permission slip that doesn't have, we are unaffiliated with Saucon Valley School District, that's okay. But it's not okay for the Satanic Temple to have someone who's not authorized to send anything on their behalf, who makes a social media post about the upcoming meeting, that somehow that person is speaking on behalf of TST, and you get it. It's a pretext. It's pretty obvious to me. So this continues. Vlasaty doubles down and triples down. Our community has experienced chaos. Our students, staff, and teachers had to endure a threat. And she just stops short of saying, the TST caused this. It says that instead, because of the TST's application. The district's reliance on TST's alleged violation of Policy 707 is pretextual. TST did not post anything on social media regarding the ASSC, including the post identified above. TST does not have any control over third-party social media accounts. TST is only aware of one social media account made before February 21st. On February 18th, after being informed by the superintendent that the district would not send the permission slip and the parent introductory letter as school officials had for the Good News Club, the ASSC campaign director posted the permission slip alongside permission slips for 2 ASSCs launching in other school districts on her personal Facebook page. All 3 permission slips included the following statement: "This is not an activity of the school or the school district," placed directly above the parent-guardian signature line. The posted permission slip for the Saucon Valley ASSC makes it clear in other ways that TST, not the district, sponsors the ASSC. TST sponsorship information is noted in the middle of the page, which states, "Sponsored by the Satanic Temple and Reason Alliance." Immediately below that, the permission slip directs parents to email ASSC@thesatanictemple.com for more information, and then includes a link to TST's webpage for the ASSC. On the left side of the permission slip is the TST ASSC logo. No district logos or other district-related images, slogans, or mascots appear on the form. The permission slip also includes a QR code that links to a brochure about the after-school Satan clubs, which states, among other things, that our club is operated by the Satanic Temple, and we do not operate under any specific school or school district. Neither Board Policy 707 nor its accompanying rules and regulations mandate a particular font size must be used in conjunction with the directive to clearly communicate the activities that are not sponsored by the school district, and prior to rescinding approval of the TST's application, the district never conveyed such a requirement to the TST. In fact, Board Policy 707 is extraordinarily vague. Neither Policy 707 nor its accompanying rules and regulations offer any specific guidance or detail as to what would or would not violate its requirement that third parties clearly communicate activities are not sponsored by the district. Now to the threat. On February 28th, the Northampton County District Attorney's Office issued a press release announcing that a North Carolina resident who had placed the threatening call to the district on February 21st had been arrested in Charlotte. According to the DA, the threatening voicemail message expressed displeasure with Saucon Valley Middle School for allowing the club to utilize the school facilities. The suspect subsequently told police that the after-school Satan Club is trying to turn kids into devils, but that he had not intended to carry out his threat. Although the DA's press release stated that the suspect reported finding out about the ASSC through Facebook, there is no evidence that the suspect might have refrained from his criminal actions if only TST had used a larger font size for its permission slip disclaimer. Boom! There is no evidence that the suspect might have refrained from his actions if only TST had used a larger font size. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one in there. Yeah, that really does put it in perspective, doesn't it? Indeed, there is no evidence that the suspect saw TST's permission slip. So trying to tie the two together is as ridiculous as it sounds. It's redonkulous. It's as ridiculous as a donkey. Oh, Superintendent Vlasaty, I should compare you to a donkey. You're acting like a donkey. You are redonkulous. In light of the district's February 20th Facebook post announcing its approval of the ASSC, thereby increasing online awareness of the issue, it is possible that the suspect learned about the ASSC as a result of the district's own conduct. In any event, as the district's letter to TST and the DA's statement make clear, the suspect was not upset because he mistakenly believed that the district was sponsoring the ASSC. Rather, he was angry with the district merely because the district had approved the ASSC's use of school facilities. The threat received by the school district, which, according to the district, caused significant disruption to the district's educational programs, appeared to be an attempt to derail or shut down ASSC meetings at district facilities because the suspect disliked Satanism and TST's speech. Community objections to the district's initial approval of TST's application have been primarily based on opposition to Satanism and TST's speech. To provide just a few examples, quote, Superintendent Vlasaty stated at a school board meeting that she had received hundreds of emails, voicemails, phone calls from the community members frustrated by my decision, Vlasaty's decision, to approve the club, angered that I placed the students in danger, and that some messages declared that she should not be around children, is woke, and is a Satan worshiper. A district resident told the local news outlet that Satanism is a very dark, dark thing. A local reverend told a news station that associating it, the ASSC, with such a figure that we commonly equate to being evil is not a good thing, in their opinion. A local resident who planned a prayer event in response to approval of the club told a news station, if we don't speak up for this type of outlandish disregard to those of who do have Judeo-Christian values, when is it going to stop? I need to address that. If you're allowed to have your Judeo-Christian values, I'm allowed to have my satanic values. I am allowed to swing my fist as long as I'm not encroaching in the space where I put you in imminent fear of an offensive or harmful contact. So I can swing my fist as long as I'm not hitting your nose or etc. You're allowed to have your Judeo-Christian values, and I'm allowed to have mine. And if my values offend you, you don't have to associate with me. And I don't have to associate with you, vice versa. That's how that works. You don't get to tell other people what values they can or can't have. You can only choose your own values for yourself. I mean, you can physically say you should have these values. You have the right to say words, but you don't get to legally tell someone that they can't have a different religion than you. Encouraging others to attend the prayer rally, an area resident posted on Facebook, Saucon Valley Middle School is allowing an after-school Satan club starting on 3/8, and we are hoping it gets canceled for that date and the remaining dates. Lure very impressionable minds in with crafts and fun, all in Satan's name. No. As a reader of the Morning Call, a religious newspaper responded to a columnist's support for TST's First Amendment rights by proclaiming, "If this Satan club is allowed to flourish throughout the country, you can expect even more mass shootings than we're already plagued with while you espouse constitutional obligations to the dead." The pastor of the Saucon Valley Community Church, which sponsors the Good News Club at the district's middle school, gave a live-streamed sermon on February 26th entitled Crushing Satan, which railed against the ASSC and called TST's virtues evil. These people who are opposed to these things, they really need to try to use some logic to figure out what's going on here. The Satanic Temple very clearly has some pretty good values, and I don't know where you can get off judging people without knowing them. TST condemns all threats of violence. A threat against the district and any threats against the superintendent are unacceptable and reprehensible. These threats and any disruption to the school facilities, however, were not caused by TST's conduct. The district's decision to rescind approval of TST's application due to the disruption caused by the February 20th threat gave the objectors a heckler's veto and was thus inherently and expressly based on the viewpoint or the content, the religious beliefs that would have been expressed and exercised at the meetings. And remember, these aren't children that are lured with, some false pretense. Permission slip gets sent home and parents asked for this after-school Satan club, and they bring their children there voluntarily, not anyone being indoctrinated into anything. The objectors really, they just aren't taking any time to understand the situation that they're objecting to. And this is the community that I grew up in. This is exactly what I expect from the community that I grew up in, and unfortunately, I expect nothing more. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. Counsel for TST sent a letter to the SVSD solicitor on March 2nd advising the school district that its decision to deny ASSC access to school facilities violates the First Amendment. The solicitor responded, stating that the district will be standing by its decision. Counsel for TST sent a subsequent email asking whether the district would allow ASSC to use school facilities for its meetings if the ASSC included a disclaimer in its advertising materials that was acceptable to the district. The solicitor responded that he would not be able to meet with his clients to discuss the matter until March 28th. On March 29th, counsel followed up by email stating the district will not be revisiting the application this year due to the proximity of the disruptive events from last month. This does not foreclose the Satanic Temple from applying for use in the future, however, not at this time. The district's discriminatory enforcement. The district does not enforce Policy 707 equally against all non-school organizations. Non-school organizations have repeatedly circulated promotional materials for events at the district without clearly communicating the activities are not sponsored by the school. The Good News Club typically meets in the spring at Saucon Valley Middle School. The club has distributed flyers and permission slips that, unlike the ASSC permission slips cited by district officials, do not have any explicit disclaimer language in any size font, making clear that its meetings are not district-sponsored activities. District officials knew that the Good News Club promotional materials did not comply with Policy 707. In the winter or spring of 2022, school officials sent Good News Club permission slips home with students at Saucon Valley Elementary School. The permission slip advertised meetings at the middle school on Thursdays for 5 weeks, March 10th through April 7th, from dismissal until 5 p.m. The form did not include any express disclaimer of district sponsorship. A photo of the permission slip is attached as Exhibit 7. Let's go look at that. So this got sent home with students. So if you aren't a believer in the Christian Bible, Bible verse, and Bible songs and games, if you don't want your child subjected to Christian religious doctrine, this got sent home with your kid. Like, this got sent home with your kid, whether you wanted it or not, it sounds like. So I'm not sure who's accused of proselytizing here or not, but it does offend me that the school would be sending home something for Christians, but not sending something home for other religions or religions that don't believe in a sentient God, like the Satanic Temple. The Good News Club is sponsored by Saucon Community Church and Child Evangelism Fellowship. Through at least February 23rd, the front and landing page of the church's website linked to a PDF permission slip that apparently had no explicit disclaimer. Did not have any explicit disclaimer. The permission slip remained on the church's website until it was replaced by a PDF with a revised permission slip, which now reads, "The Good News Club is not affiliated with Saucon Valley School District." According to the PDF file's metadata, it was not created until March 1st, 2023. So the school district is trying to retroactively enforce this, saying that it was okay for the Good News Club to not have that until they had to enforce against the Satanic Temple, and now they've got to make it equal for everyone. Suddenly, we have to change the rules, use the rule change as a pretext to deny the Satanic Temple. The Good News Club will be allowed to continue to meet even though it violated the rule, but the Satanic Temple will not be allowed to meet because it violated the rule. So we have this hypocrisy, we have this double standards. It's okay for the Christian club because the community wants the Christian club, but it's not okay because not enough members in the community want the After School Satan Club. Because the majority or the loud people want one thing, we have to deny the other thing. That's the heckler's veto. That's not fair. That's not equality. That's not First Amendment. That's not U.S. values. That's not good values in my, in humanity, with humanity, in my opinion. Universal values. It's not philosophically good to discriminate against people. And it's certainly not good to judge others. First of all, I was raised Christian, and you're not supposed to judge others. So why are you judging this Satan club without even knowing them? But why are you judging them at all? But why are you judging them without knowing them? You should be getting to know something about this organization before you just go and insult its members. The district has not provided TST the same opportunity to amend its permission slip. In addition to the non-conforming permission slip, the church also posted advertisements for Good News Club meetings. The advertisements did not have an explicit disclaimer. Later, it deleted Facebook posts that did not include a disclaimer. Despite the fact that materials promoting the Good News Club failed to comply with Policy 707, the district continues to allow the Good News Club to meet at the middle school. And then they go into other examples. These are not problematic examples, I don't think. These are just examples of other clubs that are allowed to meet. Girls on the Run Lehigh Valley is a district facility across multiple years distributing promotional materials that does not have an explicit disclaimer in any size font. So they're allowed to meet, but they do not disclaim district sponsorship. A scout troop and cub pack hosted by astronaut Terry Hart was allowed to meet. The flyer does not have any explicit language disclaiming it. Sports camp did not include any explicit disclaimer language. Saucon Valley Youth Sports did not have an explicit disclaimer. Saucon Valley Youth Basketball did not have an explicit disclaimer. So it's obvious that the only one who needs the disclaimer is the After School Satan Club, and that nobody would have noticed that nobody was using these disclaimers, except that they were looking for something to use against the After School Satan Club. So they're singling them out based on their viewpoint. That's viewpoint-based discrimination, and that is illegal under the U.S. Constitution and apparently the Pennsylvania Constitution. For example, in a recently filed lawsuit seeking access to school district facilities for the Good News Club, Christian Evangelism Fellowship of Rhode Island explained that the Good News Clubs are after-school enrichment programs providing religious and other teaching and activities to encourage learning, spiritual growth, service to others, as well as social, emotional, character, and leadership development. The district's failure to enforce Policy 707 against other non-school organizations in the same manner to the same extent that it is purporting to enforce the policy against TST demonstrates that the district's reliance on Policy 707 to rescind approval of TST's application is pretextual. They're also addressing the threats and security concerns. They're also saying that the school is handling the threat differently than it handles other threats. The district's established protocols were sufficient to deal with the threat made in connection with its approval of its ASSC application. The district notified police, worked with investigators, and found the perpetrator. The district arranged for increased presence, and the district employed private armed security guards. So the claims for relief are all going to be based on free speech, the Establishment Clause, or rather Anti-Establishment Clause, and the Pennsylvania Constitution. So the Free Speech Clause is the First Amendment. When we talk about public forums, this is a public forum. Defendant has intentionally created a forum that allows the use of district facilities for broad purposes by a wide array of individuals and organizations. Remember when we've talked about this in the Twitter context, that if you try to treat Twitter as a sort of online free speech platform, as if it's run by the government, it would actually mean less moderation. It would mean almost zero control, because the only speech that wouldn't be allowed or that could be restricted would be the Brandenburg line, would be the line where you make an illegal call to imminent violence. So shouting fire in a crowded theater isn't enough. It has to be shouting fire in a crowded theater that causes imminent lawless action, like a stampede or a riot or, something like that. Just, shouting something to the heavens, to your followers, whatever. Think about the Donald Trump thing on January 6th, what he said about people going to the Capitol, and then people went to the Capitol and did violent things. Was that a call to imminent lawless action? That would be the Brandenburg line. But if he's on the safe side of the Brandenburg line, then he can say stuff like that all day. And it's not illegal. And as much as you may not like it, it's not illegal. As much as you may not agree with the ASSC's religious views, you don't get to tell other people what their religious views can be, and you don't get to deny them access to government facilities when those facilities are open to the public for after-school activities unaffiliated with the school. Defendant's decision under Policy 707 to rescind approval and prohibit the ASSC from using school facilities is unconstitutionally based on the viewpoint or content of plaintiff's speech, including plaintiff's particular religious viewpoint. Specifically, defendant's decision is based on an unconstitutional heckler's veto arising from community members and others' disagreement with and hostility toward the viewpoint and or content of plaintiff's speech, as well as animus towards plaintiff's religion, as illustrated by those who have complained, protested, and made threats against the defendant for initially approving TST's application, and the defendant's reliance on those threats in rescinding approval of TST's application. Neither defendant's application of Policy 707 nor its decision to rescind approval for the ASSC's use of school facilities serves any rational, legitimate, significant, or compelling government interest, because they just went through all the different types of constitutional scrutiny, rational basis, intermediate scrutiny, or the most strict scrutiny, which should apply to religious and First Amendment applications and cases, requiring a compelling government interest and regulation that's narrowly tailored to achieve that interest. Neither defendant's Policy 707 nor its decision to rescind approval is reasonably or narrowly tailored to any rational, legitimate, significant, or compelling government interest. There we go. That's the second half of constitutional scrutiny. So then, second claim for relief is also the Establishment Clause, that one religious domination cannot be preferred over another. Defendant's discriminatory treatment of the ASSC and plaintiff, a Satanist church, as compared to its treatment of the Good News Club and its sponsoring Christian church, violates this fundamental principle of denominational neutrality. The principle of denominational neutrality dates back to the founding, and violations of this principle are a hallmark of unconstitutional religious establishment. Now, why would they say this? Because we've got the constitutional originalism argument that won the Dobbs case and overturned Roe v. Wade, and possibly overturned much of substantive due process. So making sure that free speech principles, denominational neutrality, religious freedom, reminding the court this dates back to the founding, overcomes the new sort of resurgence of constitutional originalism. Thus, defendant's decision to ban TST, as well as its decision to refuse distribution of its permission slip, and to apply an unequal standard under Policy 707, also fail to satisfy the historic test in Kennedy versus Bremerton School District, which is going to be one of those First Amendment cases like we looked at before. Then the free exercise clause is your freedom to exercise sincerely held religious beliefs. Supreme Court has held that the free exercise clause protects religious observers against unequal treatment. Defendant violated these fundamental principles by denying plaintiff the benefit of access to school facilities based on some district officials' own anti-Satanist animus and the anti-Satanist animus of community members and others. And then the Pennsylvania Constitution states that the free communication of thoughts and opinions is one of the invaluable rights of man, and every citizen may freely speak, write, and print on any subject, being responsible for the abuse of that liberty. Defendants' refusal to allow TST to hold meetings is a violation there. So they are requesting a declaratory judgment, which is sort of a court's official decision that they're not doing anything wrong, and that defendant and its policy 707 is vague and overbroad. An order declaring the decision to rescind the approval violates the First Amendment in all these different ways. And a injunction, both a preliminary and permanent injunction, that the district must allow the ASSC to meet, that they must allow make-up meetings, that they must distribute the permission slip, that they shall not impose other unconstitutional conditions, they shall not retaliate for ASSC exerting its First Amendment rights, to enter judgment for compensatory damages to be determined by the court, reasonable attorney's fees, and an order retaining jurisdiction to enforce the previous orders requested. And so that is the ACLU of Pennsylvania. And Deckert or Descher, LLP. I'm not entirely sure if you pronounce it the American way or the French way, if it even is French. Yeah, so that's pretty remarkable. That's my hometown. Frankly, I expected nothing less, knowing the area is quite religious, and at least in the circles that I ran, yeah, I just... not angry, just disappointed. They could have done so much better. Yes, it's the ACLU, and longtime viewers of my channel will have seen these kinds of things play out before, and the ACLU is hands down going to win this. I do not see a way for Saucon Valley to back out of this. It's possible to get a weird ruling from a court, but I've not seen any super weird rulings out of the Eastern District of Pennsylvania that make me think that they're not going to enforce the First Amendment properly. So case precedent is on the ACLU's side, is on the Satanic Temple side, and against Saucon Valley. So I'm really not sure what Saucon Valley thinks it's doing. Maybe Superintendent Vlasaty is just trying to keep her job by doing what will keep the board and the residents happy, because if she doesn't do that, then the board will throw her out, even though that would be also some kind of like unlawful termination, throw you out for following the law. Don't we want people to follow the law? So I don't think you can throw people out for following the law, but hey, I don't know. If I was Superintendent Vlasaty, I'd follow the law, let them throw me out, and then have my own suit against the board for unlawful termination. But hey, what do I know? Let me know what you think in the comments below.